This is It's a DS Thing, where every conversation is a step closer to the heart of God. Evelyn and Janet can't wait to share these moments of Bible seeking with you. In every episode, we tackle real issues, share personal stories, and discover the beauty of God's love in the midst of it all. So, if you're ready to be inspired, encouraged, and maybe even challenged a bit, hit that subscribe button now. Join our community of faith seekers, and let's walk this journey together.
Hey guys, this is Evelyn. Welcome back to the podcast. I am sad Janet is not going to be joining us today, but we will be able to hear from her in the next episodes. And today I am very excited because I finally get to share with you guys something that I said I was going to share from a long time ago. And it is my testimony. So the day has come to share with you guys one of my many, many testimonies. And honestly, I've been wanting to share this because it was during a very interesting time of my life. And let me just say that God has been teaching me all these different things just throughout my life. I'm only 24 years, not 25. Whoa, I'm only 24 years old. And I already feel like I've gotten so much wisdom just from my experiences. And God has really put me through certain situations to help refine me and to help mold me and just to become the person that He wants me to be and just so that He can use me better. So, through these experiences in my life, I have obviously gone through ups and downs, but I've learned to trust Him because during this specific part of my life where this testimony starts, I wasn't really in the best time of my life. I think I was having trouble trusting Him. I wasn't sure if He was there. I was like, okay, God, I know you're there, but not really. I didn't really know He was there. I was like, I can't really see you. I can't really feel you. What do I do? Right. And so that's kind of how my spiritual life was at the time. And so, to give you guys a little bit of background context to this was my testimony starts off. Let's see. It was my sophomore. I was going into my sophomore year of college. So I had graduated from being like a freshman, not graduated, but you know what I mean? Like I had finished my freshman year, and every summer I would go back to see my parents who are still in Arkansas, Northwest Arkansas. Woo, shout out to them. And so which is like 10 hours away. So that was always such a long either drive or flight, whatever. And I went back during the summer to see them, obviously, right? Well, during this time, my family was going through a bit of a financial struggle. My dad was having some medical problems, so there was a lot of medical bills. Let me just say that college is expensive. If you guys are familiar with the Chattanooga area, you guys know where Southern Adventist University is, and you guys know that it's a small private college that is very, very expensive. And that I think that really just took a toll on me at the time and my family. And it's like, how are we going to pay all this money right away? How are we supposed to pay that monthly? That is a lot. And we can barely like hold ourselves up. Plus, on top of that, my mom was doing the best she could to provide for the family. And my dad was also trying his best despite his medical issues. If you guys know anybody working construction, you know that is tough. That is a very hard, that's a very hard thing to do, a very hard job. If it rains, you don't go to work. If the weather is not great, you don't go to work. And if you don't go to work, you don't finish jobs and then you don't get paid. So that's a little bit of that if you didn't know. And so I admire people who do that. So yeah, we weren't really sure where the money was going to come from. And it's so easy a lot of times to say, I trust God. I know He's going to make it rain. I know He's going to bless us and He's going to help me get the money to go to college and that it's miraculously going to appear somewhere. But it's not like that all the time. I think we also like God requires us to have at least a little bit of faith. We don't have to have a lot of faith, but just have the faith of a mustard seed. And that is what he was teaching me. I honestly thought that I was not going to make it. um I never thought that I'd go to college, number 1. And so the fact that I had just finished my freshman year, I was like, "Yay, like I got this." And then when I go back during the summer, my mom tells me, "I don't think you're going to go back." And this was very hard on all of our family. Number 1, because I don't know if this happens with other people's parents, but with my parents, they really believed that I had to finish college in 4 years. And let me tell you, if you are in college right now, or if you're in like a job, I don't know, you don't have like there is no timeline. You don't have to get that promotion in a year or 2. You don't have to graduate college in 4 years. And that is something I learned. But at that time, I was stressing out because I was like, I don't think I can go back. I'm going to have to stay and work my butt off in order to go back to college and finish it and be, the best teacher I can be and help all these kids out. And yeah, so very, very stressful. Um, I thought about like different jobs that I could do. I had done different things. Um, whoops, I just knocked something down. Um, my During my high school years, I actually worked at Express, which is a clothing store at the mall, if you didn't know. And I loved the people there. The job was I was still learning. I was only, 17, 18 or so. And it was great, but the pay wasn't that great. I think it was only like $7.80, not even $7.50 or $7 and like a quarter, 25 cents an hour. And then you still had to work long shifts and long hours to even get anything. So I always felt like I had that job security. I was close to the manager, and she was like, "Yeah, whenever you come back from school and during the summers, come work for us." And I just was like, I should go back and do that. But at this rate, I'm never gonna be able to save up for college, and I'm never gonna be able to go back. And so I didn't really know what to do. And my mom was like, "I think you need to get a job and, start right away." And I was like, "Okay, okay, okay." I don't know where though. And I was like, "I have no idea." Like I think my mindset at the time was like, I don't want to work in a job where I have to deal with food, where I have to be a waitress, or like, I think I had a lot of pride in that at the time. And I didn't want to apply for these jobs. And I was like, I don't think so. That's not my thing. I mean, on top of that, I'm already like super duper clumsy. Um, but yeah, like I just don't want to. But God had other plans in mind for me. God really just enlightened my mom to come up with the idea that I could work for the Little Debbie family. So for McKee. If you're not familiar with it, or if you're not from the South, which do they have these only in the South, or is this like a nationwide thing? I have no idea. And I worked for them. But point is that my mom was like, "Yeah, you should definitely apply," because apparently they get paid pretty well. Like starting off rate is like $14 and something an hour. And that's pretty darn good. Um, and I was like, "Yeah, like, I mean, I don't have to be making the little snacks, the Little Debbie snacks. I just, I get to package them," because I was trying to apply for the packaging technician job at the time. And, but I was not really happy with that idea. I said, "I don't know if that's gonna happen. You know what? I'll apply, sure, whatever." And the people that I had talked to, because apparently the plant that is in Northwest Arkansas, I knew a lot of people working there from church and such. And they would tell me, "You know what? Like, they called me in 3 months. I applied, but they did not call me for an interview in 3 months." And they're like, "Yeah, like the fastest you're gonna get it is maybe a month and a half." But that's just, being super positive, optimistic about that, because I don't think they're gonna call you back right away. And I was like, "No, like I need a job as soon as possible because I only have 2 months." Like my plan is to only work and like be there for 2 months, and then I'm gonna have to go back to school. There is no way that I'm staying there, but you know what? Like, whatever. So I wasn't very hopeful at the time. And I was like, whatever, let me apply for this. And then I forgot about it. Well, let me tell you that God is great. And I didn't realize that at the time because they called me, HR offices called me the next day. I'm not even kidding you. It was literally the next day. I think it was either the next day or a whole day had passed and then they called me, something like that. Like in a day and a half, or I don't know. Point is that it was like within 2 days they called me. And I was in such, first I was like, who the heck is calling me? I'm glad I picked up because I usually never pick up, random phone numbers. Like, I'm always like, are they a telemarketer? Are they trying to rob my information from me? I never pick up, but I did. And I was so shocked. Well, apparently the process, the interview process takes like 2 days. So you have to go there for 2 days. And the factories there are about maybe like 30 minutes away from my house. And because I didn't really get out much, I thought 30 minutes was a long time. Now, of course, I live in a bigger city and I'm like, "Oh, it's 40 minutes away. Oh, that's pretty close." But 30 minutes, and I drove there and I had to go back for another interview. And the interview process is very interesting. The guy who did my interview was actually pretty nice, but because it's a factory and you have to do things pretty fast paced, one of the things that they make you do is like match colors with different items and they time you for whatever reason. Well, it's not for whatever reason. I know why they time you, because you have to do things fast when you're actually working there. But I just thought that was interesting. Apparently, I made the cut and they called me right away and they were like, "We want to hire you. Are you still interested?" And of course, this came as a shock because I was not expecting it. I was like, "No, no, no, no," but I was like, I have another choice?" At this point, I was very, my mental health wasn't great, like, I was very devastated. I was very, like, scared. I didn't know what to expect. I had never worked in a factory before. My pride was still taking a hold of me and was like, "You are not, like, wearing a" what's it called? A hairnet, and I hate when my hair is up, and so I was like, I do not want to wear a hairnet. And so I was being very prideful at that time. But God humbled me. Let me tell you what. He humbled me to the core and he said, "You're wearing a hairnet. You're wearing those little, what's called the earplug thingies, and you're wearing the steel toed shoes." Man, I was like, "Whatever, here I come." And I was very scared because I had no idea what I was doing. And I am very blessed. God really put one specific person in my life. Honestly, when they told me the person that was going to train me was this young person, I was like, "Yeah, I got like this young person. Maybe I can become friends with her. She's more like my age." Well, they were like, "Never mind, you're not getting her. You're getting somebody else." And I was a little like disappointed, like, man, like I just wanted the other girl. But oh my goodness, I got the best trainer in the world. Teresa, if you're watching this or hearing this, thank you. I thank the Lord every day for you because if you had not been there to help me out, I don't know where I would be. Um, so that job started off that way. I started getting a hold of the job more and more. The the shifts were pretty long because I needed to earn a little bit more money. I had to work 12 hours, like do 12-hour shifts. I went in around like 2:30 p.m. and I left at 2:30 a.m. or like basically like 3 a.m. And so I would drive all the way back home in my little Mini Cooper that I had at the time. And I would drive home 30 minutes in the dark and I was very, very tired. And the next day I would do the same thing over and over again. And I was getting pretty tired of it. I hate starting new jobs because I feel like I'm not an expert at them because I'm obviously learning and I'm making mistakes. And I feel like everyone's just getting or I'm getting on everybody's nerves. It's the other way around. And I felt like I could not do things right. Again, my trainer was there to help me though. Well, during this job, um, I never considered myself being bullied. Like, I've never been one of those people that are like, "Hey, yeah, like I was bullied in high school and, all these things." But, I've always said that I grew up saying that I had this, like, bubble wrapped around me and that nobody could hurt me because it would just bounce off or it would just slide off. So I don't really get, like, hurt easily, I don't really get offended easily. However, there was this person, particular lady there who, yeah, like, would say hurt me. Um, I don't know, maybe, like, bullying me, and she would the worst part, though, was that she called herself a Christian, and that just goes to show that just because you're a Christian and call yourself Christian does not mean that you're acting like a Christian or that you don't have things to work on. And so, this particular lady was really, really mean to me, and, I mean, to other people too, but also to me. And there was one time actually when there were some boxes that were falling off, and I rushed to go help her. I don't know, that was my instinct, and I was, like, doing my job, but I also had a little bit of time in between, and so I ran to go help her. Well, turns out that she got really mad because I ran to help her, and that was that. I got yelled, in front of everybody by her, and it was just really awkward. Nobody stood up to help me. Nobody said anything. Everybody was really quiet, and, I remember going back to my Mini Cooper and staying in the parking lot at night. Well, I guess it was morning by then, and I was just crying, I was bawling, and I was like, "I can't do this, like, how long? How long, God? Like, I feel like I still don't have enough money." And I cried and cried, and I didn't feel God was near. I was like, "I know that he's near, I know, but I don't feel it." And I can't hear you and I can't see you. So what the heck am I supposed to do? Like, how do I know that I'm going back? What if all of this is in vain? Because I was like counting every dollar that I had and it still was not enough. And I was like, man, I'm going through all of this and I don't think it's even worth it. Well, one day I was at the parking lot and I was trying to leave work. What was I doing? I actually was yeah, I was trying to leave work. And there was still some light outside. Um, and I actually hit this guy that was trying he was honestly driving really fast down the parking lot lane, if that makes sense. And I was coming out and I turned both ways to make sure that there was nobody coming. There was no one, but since there was like a turn where like I don't know if I'm making any sense, where people turn, where cars turn, and then, so when I turned my head to look the other way, he had turned the corner and gone down that lane really fast, and so as I'm trying to get out, he obviously, like, ended up hitting me. For whatever reason, we called the police, filed a police report, and for whatever reason, it was my fault. Like, what? Um Apparently, they have it's what is it called? The right of way, and yeah, and so even though he was coming at me pretty strong, like, I don't know how, but it became my fault, and I phoned a friend really fast because I was really scared. I phoned a friend who lived nearby, and thankfully, he was there to kinda help me calm down a little bit. Um
As someone that works in media and communication for the home church for her job, there are tools that are very needed. And to be honest, communication can be very expensive when you come with cameras, mics, lighting, software, so many things. But we could also find good, cheap, and good resourceful things. So if you are somebody that does something like that, whether it be only for your personal, for your church, or for anything, a good recommendation that I have found over the last few years that has helped me a lot, because not always do you have a studio, not always do you have a mic sitting down at a desk like I usually do, or we usually do here in It's a DS Thing podcast, but sometimes you have to do it out and about, outside, do different types of content. And for that, my friend, Our phones are our best friends. Sometimes you don't have money for a good 4K camera, an expensive camera, but our phones have become a very good part of our production. But of course, we need good mics because, audio is something very important. And for that, today we bring our good friend. Oh, it's upside down. We bring our good friend that I always carry everywhere I go. It goes in my purse, in all the videos that I do for my church and the productions that I do. And let me tell you, this little guy has a sharp audio, a clear audio. And it's a DS thing. We've done reels with this small friend that I have here. And I found him in Amazon. I will leave you guys the link down below if you are interested in purchasing one of these guys. I highly recommend it. So if you're in need of a microphone, if you're starting off, this is a great option for you to go. So yeah.
But yeah, that happened. And so I had to fix my car, but also that guy's car. And he was being really I don't know, really being really mean and saying he was also a pretty young guy who's I think my same age or so. And um he admitted later on into wanting to get money out of me and wanted to file I don't really know how insurance works and stuff, but he was saying that I needed to get a lot of his car fixed when it was just an easy fix. And thankfully I knew a guy from church that worked on a mechanic shop, and so he helped me get my car fixed and also his car fixed at a pretty reasonable price, but it was still going to be a little expensive. And so there goes all of my there goes all my college fund, right? All my college money that I was saving up thrown down the drain because this guy had to run into me. Turns out that I was being really nice. I had all this rage inside of me because I'm I cannot believe that I'm wasting all this money into this guy's car that is not even my fault. He should have been the one helping me fix my car. I was so angry that I didn't realize what was happening in front of me. You see, this guy, like I said, was trying to get money, was trying to get a little bit of extra more money because he thought I was naive. But then when he realized that I was actually being really nice to him and offering to help him, he told the mechanic later on, he's like, hey, she's been really nice to me. And I thought she was actually going to be a lot more, mad and upset that this happened. He's like, I was actually, and that's when he admitted, I was actually trying to get money off of her. But this is what the mechanic told me. That's why I know the story. He's like, but then I realized that she's being really nice and super great about this. You guys got my car, fixed and ready to go and, in a week. And wow, I don't know what to say, but, are you guys religious? I noticed that, when you were talking to her, you guys were talking about church and are you guys religious? What do you guys, do? And wanted to know more. It turns out the mechanic also told him yeah, we're Adventist and we're Christian and we believe in God. And I think that I'm so thankful that God was able to help you guys out and that nobody was hurt in the situation. And so he ended up actually wanting to learn more about being an Adventist and just being a Christian in general. And again, I wasn't there for that conversation, but that's what the mechanic told me. And I'm really, really happy that that conversation happened because this guy was a lot nicer to me and a lot more calm about his car and the whole wreck and everything. And yeah, after all, I think it happened for a reason. I don't think that car crash actually happened for a reason. Let me rephrase that. I think that happened, because we were being a little careless, but also God turned that into a good situation. He actually used that for the good. And if it took that car crash for him to acknowledge that there is a God out there, then it's worth it, right? And I was still really angry though that I didn't have that I basically wasted a lot of money, that I poured a lot of money into this. All of the hours that I was working hard, I had to work hard to pay that off, to help pay the job that was done. And, but God had another plan. He knew he was, ugh, I look back at it now and I'm like, I can just see God saying, like, Evelyn, just you wait. Just you wait. You think you used up all the money, but just you wait. Well, fast forward, a lot of things happened in between. I was still having problems with this lady, but I was still like, you know what? I don't know. God's gonna do something. I was the whole time I was trying to control. Number one, I was trying to control the situation. I was very upset. I kept complaining. I kept telling God, "Yo, I can't see you. What is going on?" Finally, finally, one night, um, I remember looking up at the sky. Oh, before this though, it was already time to go back to school. So this was I really don't remember the dates very well, but it was time to go back to school, and I only had a little bit of time, maybe a couple weeks before I had to make my way back to Tennessee to start college. And so I was like, I still don't have enough money. Like, what's gonna happen? Unless like I go and work over there, but I don't think that's gonna happen. So um I applied. There's again, if those for those of you guys who are in the Chattanooga area, you guys know that there's a McKee plant over here, which is actually very, very close or in the same town where Southern is. And so I said, you know what? Like, I'm gonna try to apply there. I'm gonna try to get transferred. How convenient, right? That there's another plant really close to Southern, to the school that I'm attending, the university I'm attending. So I talked to my supervisor and I was like, "Hey, can you like how the heck do I submit an application because I need to get out of here and like start over there cuz school is starting up." And she kind of laughed and was like, yeah, so about that, I don't think if you do transfer, there's like no job for a packaging technician. You're not going to have this luxury of a job, which is not really a luxury. It was just a kind of a step up to what other jobs there were. And she was like, if you decide to transfer, you can just, I highly suggest you just settle for a job cleaning or I don't know, doing something else. It's not as good as a pay as like doing what you're doing now. And I was like, no, like I really need this. And she was like, well, like, I mean, you can be as optimistic as you want, but I don't think it's gonna happen. And I was like, well, just write on there that I still wanna be like I still wanna keep this title, this job title. I wanna be a packaging technician. And she's like, okay, well, let's do part-time. I was like, whoa, whoa. Oh, she's like, let's do full-time. And I said, whoa, we cannot do full-time. I'm gonna be a college student. I am a college student and I have to go to school too. So I need part-time. And she like just laughed and was like, okay, you're asking for way too much because this can't happen. You can't have the job that you want and have part-time. And so I was like, just put it on, I don't know. I just can't. I don't want to settle for anything less than that. And I was very again upset. HR had obviously seen that I had wanted to my request to transfer. And again, they told me the exact same thing. They're like, "Ooh, there's a waiting list." First of all, a lot of people who want to transfer into being like a packaging tech, they usually get the people that are already working there on the top of the list. And so I don't know if you're gonna make the cut. I'm just saying, like, I'm just trying to be real with you. And I was like, I understand. Just let me be, Again, I was really worried because time was ticking and I didn't know if I was going to be able to have a job, if I was even going to be able to go back to school. So this is where that one night I was driving back in my little Mini Cooper back home. This was like 3 in the morning. I am exhausted and I'm tired of just thinking about all the possible things that I needed to do um, in order to make this work and how I was just exhausting every option there was and I wasn't getting anywhere. And I remember looking at the sky and the stars. I love the stars. And I said, God, I was like, if you're out there, I just want you to listen. I'm done. I said, I am exhausted. I am tired of thinking of different ways that I can save my own butt, and I can't. I was like, look, I accept it. You know what? I accept it. If you want me to stay here with my family and work to help my family, I will do that. I don't have to go back to school. I know my family says that I have to finish in 4 years, but I don't have to. If it's not your will, it's not gonna happen, and that's it. I was like, I will stay and work until I have to, either, to save up to go back to college or use that money to help my family out. But I will stay if that's what you want me to do, and I am okay with that. Is that what I wanna do? No, but it is your will and it's gonna happen anyways. So, you know what? I accept that. Fine. I accept that. I was like, option 2, if you want me to go to college, if you want me to be a teacher, if this is truly my calling, then you're gonna make it happen. I don't know how. People are telling me that it's impossible, but I know 3, 2, 1. People are telling me that it's impossible to be able to get a job, but nothing is impossible for you. So, if it is your will for me to stay, I will do that. If it's your will for me to go back to school, let that be the case. But I'm done fighting against whatever you want me to do. I'm done fighting against my own self and my own thoughts. I can't make things happen. Only you. I don't know how. No idea, but only you know. So that is that is the day when I think I realized, or that night, I guess, is when I realized, like, I can't do it. I really can't. And I got into bed that, I guess, morning, because it was already like 3 a.m. that morning, and I went to sleep. And for the first time in a long time, I really felt that peace. Nothing was right. I was still getting bullied at work. I was still, you know, I didn't have money. I hadn't saved up enough. My dad still had these medical issues happening. My family was stressed. But for the first time, I had peace and I went to sleep, trusting God that something was going to happen. And then I was accepting as well. I was accepting whatever outcome it was. And the next morning, I woke up to a call. It said Collegedale, Tennessee on it. And I was like, oh, it's probably the school. Maybe I forgot to pay something. I don't know why they're calling, but it must be important. So I picked up. And with a very groggy voice, I said, hello? And they were like, is this Evelyn? I was like, this is she. They're like, well, we're calling from, the McKee headquarters over in Collegedale, Tennessee. And I see here that you have an application, a request to be transferred. So are you working in the Arkansas plant right now? And I was like, yes, hello. Yeah, and that's when I woke up, right? I was like, yes. Yeah, I want to be transferred. Like I go to Southern, and I want to see if I'm able to go to college and work at the same time. And so I really just want to be transferred. I started working here in the summer, and the lady on the other side was like, oh yeah, sure. There's a spot. There was just a spot that became available. And like 2 days ago, it just became available. Someone ended up quitting, and you kind of just need someone to start soon. And yeah, I was like, okay, yeah, like what's the job title? What do I have to do? And they're like, oh, well, you said here you wanted packaging tech, right? And I was like, yeah. They're like, well, then yeah, that's a job that we're looking someone to fill. And I was like, oh my goodness, like, oh shoot. I'm so excited that like I almost knocked the cords down here off. I'm so excited. I talk with my hands a lot. If you're not watching the YouTube channel, you should, because you will notice that I talk with my hands a lot. And so anyways, the lady was like, yeah, like, I mean, yeah, if you want the job, you can have the job. And I was like, okay, like, but what do I have to do? Like, is it full time? Because I can't do full time. I'm a college student and I have to go to school and have to go to my classes. She's like, oh no, you can have part time. I was like, really? And she said, yeah, like, it's yours. If it's yours if you want it. And I was like, oh my goodness, like, yeah, yes, I want it. And she's like, yeah, also like it's at the plant that is closest to Southern, so you don't have to drive very far. Like you could literally walk to this plant if you're on Southern's campus. Wow, I just did not know what to say. I was like, yes, like when do I start or like what do I do? They're like, well, like you can start in like I don't even know. I think it was like 3 weeks, 2 weeks or something. I don't know. It was pretty soon. And I was like, yeah, yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that. I'll do that. And I was so excited. I could not contain it after I got off the phone with her. I was so giddy in my bed and I started squirming and like, ah. And I immediately got up and told my parents they were having breakfast. And I was like, I got it. And they're like, what? And I was like, well, you know about the job? Like, they told me that I could not be transferred and I got it. I'm able to get transferred to the plant. My parents were super happy and super hopeful again. I could see that, the hope in their eyes. And it was just so nice. It was such a great bonding moment for everybody. And I was like, you know what? Like, I knew it. And I told them, I was like, it's crazy how it turned out because I never got a call when I was doubting God and not trusting Him. And then last night, I laid it all at His feet. And that is when He started working. That's all He needed from me. Like, that is literally all He needs from us a lot of times. He just needs us to surrender it all, lay it at His feet, and that's when He'll start working. And He is working even though we can't see it, but He literally, like, we almost have to give Him that permission of saying, like, "Okay, God, I'm done. You go ahead. You go ahead." And if we could just do that from the very beginning, we would save it would save us a lot of, headaches. So yeah, when I went to work that day, I went into their HR offices to tell them, and of course, as soon as I entered, the guy who actually did the interview became my friend, and he was like he's like, "The whole office is talking about you. Oh my goodness, how did you do that?" And I said, "How? I didn't do this." He's like, "Well, like, everyone's talking about you. Like, this is crazy. Like, what is so special?" He's like, "No offense, like, but what is so special that about you that, like, you got that job?" I was like, "Look, nothing special about me. I don't even know how to do, like, some of these tasks, but I do have God." And the whole HR office that day, was able to experience and be a part of this testimony. And they all learned how God is crazy and how God is just wonderful and is just so good to us all the time. And there was a particular old man that was really he's very sweet, nice, but he he said like, I can't believe that. And I said, I mean, with God, everything is possible, right? I was like, I don't know what I'm doing half the time. I don't know where things are going to come from. Like, I have issues, I have problems, but I do have God. But God, that's all. That's it. He saw me through it and He's helped me through it, and I'm able to get a job. I don't have the money yet, but I am able, like, and I mean, ever since then, like, after I ended up going back to school, um, my God, yeah, my God, he started blessing my dad with a lot of jobs. A lot of jobs started coming up and popping for him and gave him the strength to actually finish those jobs and to be able to help me pay school. And so I'm very thankful for my dad. I'm very thankful that God gave him the strength. And He also gave me the strength to work while going to school. I never thought that was possible. Like, but I have no idea. I look back and I'm like, how did I do it? I went to school. My classes were from like 8 till maybe 4, and I had maybe 2 hours in between. And then I had to clock into work by like, I don't know, 5:30 or something. I honestly don't even remember. And then I left around 11 AM, and then I started all over again the next day. And that was really, really hard. But it was also like God helped me through that. He was like, "No, like through this job, like you're gonna learn how to trust me." And I did. And wow, I just till this day, I can't believe like that happened too, because things were just so laid out for me. Everything was so planned out, thanks to God. When they told me like you have to move as soon as possible, I knew that it was going to cost a little bit more to move into the dorms as soon as possible. And I was trying to find a place, and thankfully there is this family with this elderly lady, like, so it's basically like a group of daughters, some daughters that are looking for a caretaker for their mom. And she was like 95 when I met grandma. And they ended up opening their doors to their house, and they provided a place for me to sleep, to stay, to store my food. They provided everything, just as long as I took care of grandma during the weekends or took her to church once a month, and they paid for everything else. And it was this, it's a struggle living with other people as well, but I'm just so thankful that those people found me, and that I was able to move in. They were part of this testimony too. I was able to make this happen. And it was just so planned out. Like, God already had the place that I was going to stay. God already had the job. God already had everything. And all I had to do was trust him. All I had to do was surrender everything to his feet. And so that's a little bit of, that testimony, because of course, if I go into the details of what I was exactly feeling, it would, this episode would never end, because I was very devastated, very scared. I wasn't sure what I was supposed to be doing. I always knew that I wanted to be a teacher. Honestly, being a teacher is a calling. And this is why I'm so firm that God wanted me to be a teacher, because he helped me and like opened all these doors. There was other times when I was still struggling financially in school, where they had taken me off the little roster thing because I hadn't paid, bills. But God, he always found a way. Like I said, those education professors, man, God used them to help feed me a lot of times. Um, it was a struggle. It was a struggle, but through that, I was able to go back to this time in my life and think about how God opened the doors, how God made everything possible for me to finish school. So anyways, I'm going to close up my testimony now and just remind you guys that God is there with you. He sees you. He listens to you. All we have to do is surrender it all of it, all of your thoughts, all of your fears. It's okay to call out to God. It's okay to cry out to God and tell him, look, these are my fears. Please take it away. And so God is good. God is good all the time, and he's working. So anyways, that was my testimony for today, and I will be recording more testimonies. There is a lot more things that I want to share with you guys. And hopefully this serves as a good reminder that God is near. Like I said, God is good. God is near. God listens. God sees. All we have to do is trust him. And anyways, that is all. Tune in next time to It's a DS Thing for more episodes. And I'll see you guys next time if you're on YouTube. Bye.
Remember, you are not alone on this journey. We're a community of believers seeking to grow in our faith and understanding of God's Word.